Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Mahārāja's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Krishna Caitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Mahārāja on February 28, 2022 in Chennai, India.
Shri Gurum Dīnataranam Shri Caitanya Vishwaram
Having the Chaitanya Lila class compilation
Chaitanya Lila class compilation
with some question and answers after.
with some question answers after. Today's Shri Krishna Chaitanya book compilation chapter entitled as Lord Chaitanya explains the Vedānta-sūtra is free of 4 defects and therefore the direct meaning is to be taken, which is the absolute truth is Bhagavan. Part-2 under the section How all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 7.108.
2. অভিধা মুখ্যাবৃত্তিতে সবিশেষ তত্ত্ব ভগবানই বেদান্ত বেদ্য উপনিষদ সহিত সূত্র কহে যেই তত্ত্ব মুখ্য বৃত্তে সেই অর্থ পরম মহত্ব.
Translation. The absolute truth is described in the Upanishads and Brahma-sūtra, but one must understand the verses as they are. That is the supreme glory of in understanding. Purport. It has become fashionable since the time of Shankaracharya to explain everything regarding the Shastras in an indirect way. The scholars take pride in explaining everything in their own way, and they declare that one can understand the Vedic scriptures in any way he likes. This any way you like method is foolishness, and it has created havoc in the Vedic culture. One cannot accept scientific knowledge in his own whimsical way. In the science of mathematics, for example, 2 plus 2 equals 4, and one cannot make it equal 3 or 5. Yet, although it is not possible to alter real knowledge, people have taken to the fashion of understanding Vedic literature in any way they like. It is for this reason that we have presented Bhagavad-Gita as it is. We do not create meanings by concoction. Sometimes commentators say that the words Kurukshetra in the first verse of Bhagavad-Gita refers to one's body, but we do not accept this. We understand that Kurukshetra is a place that still exists, and according to the Vedic version, it is a Dharmakshetra or a place of pilgrimage. People still go there to perform Vedic sacrifices. Foolish commentators, however, say that Kurukshetra means the body and that Pancha Pandava refers to the 5 senses. In this way, they distort the meaning and people are misled. Here, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms that all Vedic literatures, including the Upanishads, Brahma-sūtra and others, whether Shruti, Smriti or Nyaya, must be understood according to their original statements. To describe the direct meaning of the Vedic literatures is glorious, but to describe them in one's own way using imperfect senses and imperfect knowledge is a disastrous blunder. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fully deprecated the attempt to describe the Vedas in this way. Regarding the Upanishads, the following 11 Upanishads are considered to be the topmost: Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Taittreya, Aitreya, Chandogya, Brihad Aranyaka, and Shvetashvatara. However, in the Muktiko Upanishad, verses 30 to 39, there is a description of the 108 Upanishads. Thus, there are 108 generally accepted Upanishads, of which 11 are the most important, as previously stated.
The most important thing to understand about the Upanishads, Brahma-sūtra, and others,
So, the most important thing to understand about the Upanishads, the Brahma-sūtra and the others,
is that one should take the meaning directly as it
is that one should take the meaning directly as it is.
No need to show your expertise in speculation.
There is no need to show your expertise in speculation.
Rather, since the Vedas are produced from the reading of Narayana,
Rather, since the Vedas are produced from the breathing of Narayana,
they are perfect as it is.
they are perfect as it is
It should be accepted like that.
and should be accepted like that. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 7.109.
গৌণ বৃত্তিতে রচিত অসুর মোহন শঙ্কর ভাষ্য শ্রবণে সর্বনাশ গৌণ বৃত্তে যে বা ভাষ্য করিল আচার্য তাহার শ্রবণে নাশ হয় সর্বকার্য
Sripad Shankaracharya has described all the Vedic literatures in terms of indirect meanings. One who hears such explanations is ruined.
Lord Chaitanya has said many times to hear the impersonalist commentaries ruins one's social life.
Lord Chaitanya has said several times that to hear the impersonalist commentaries can ruin one's spiritual life.
This verse confirms that.
And this verse confirms that. Next verse. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 7.110.
তাহার নাহিক দোষ ঈশ্বর আজ্ঞা পাইয়া গৌণার্থ করিল মুখ্য অর্থ আচ্ছা দিয়া
Translation. Shankaracharya is not at fault, for it is under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he has covered the real purport of the Vedas. Purport. The Vedic literature is to be considered a source of real knowledge, but if one does not take it as it is, one will be misled. For example, the Bhagavad-Gita is an important Vedic literature that has been taught for many years, but because it was commented upon by unscrupulous rascals, people derived no benefit from it, and no one came to the conclusion of Krishna consciousness. Since the purport of the Bhagavad-Gita is now being presented as it is, however, within 4 or 5 short years, thousands of people all over the world have become Krishna conscious. That is the difference between the direct and indirect explanations of the Vedic literature. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Mukhya Vrite Sei Artha Parama Mahatva. to teach the Vedic literature according to its direct meaning without false commentary is glorious. Unfortunately, Sri Shankaracharya, by the order of the spiritual masters, Supreme Personality of Godhead, compromised between atheism and theism in order to cheat the atheists and bring them to theism. And to do so, he gave up the direct method of Vedic knowledge and tried to present a meaning which is indirect. It is with this purpose that he wrote his Sharirika Bhashya commentary on the Vedānta-sūtra. One should not, therefore, attribute very much importance to the Sharirika Bhashya. In order to understand Vedanta philosophy, one must study Srimad-Bhagavatam, which begins with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yato Nayat Hitaratas Jate Swa Abhigna Swarat. I offer my obeisances unto Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, who is the supreme, all-pervading personality of Godhead. I meditate upon him, the transcendent reality, who is the primeval cause of all causes, from whom all manifested universes arise, in whom they dwell and by whom they are destroyed. I meditate upon that eternally effulgent Lord, who is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations and yet is fully independent. Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Srimad-Bhagavatam is the real commentary on the Vedānta-sūtra. Unfortunately, if one is attracted to Sri Shankaracharya's commentary, Sharirika Bhashya, his spiritual life is doomed. One may argue that since Shankaracharya is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, how is it that he cheated people in this way? The answer is that he did so on the order of his master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Padma Purana in the words of Lord Shiva himself. The Mayavada philosophy, Lord Shiva informed his wife Parvati is impious, asak chastra. It is covered Buddhism. My dear Parvati, in Kali Yuga, I assume the form of a Brahmana and teach this imagined Mayavada philosophy. In order to cheat the atheists, I describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be without form and without qualities. Similarly, in explaining Vedanta, I describe the same Mayavada philosophy in order to mislead the entire population toward atheism by denying the personal form of the Lord. In the Shiva Purana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead told Shiva, in Kali Yuga, mislead the people in general by propounding imaginary meanings for the Vedas to bewilder them. These are the descriptions of the Puranas. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that Mukhya Vritti, the direct meaning, is Abhida Vritti, or the meaning that one can understand immediately from the statements of dictionaries. Whereas Guna Vritti, the indirect meaning, is a meaning that one imagines without consulting the dictionary. For example, one politician has said that Kurukshetra refers to the body, but in the dictionary there is no such definition. Therefore, this imaginary meaning is Guna Vritti, Gauna Vritti, whereas the direct meaning found in the dictionary is Mukhya Vritti or Abhida Vritti. This is the distinction between the two. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that one understand the Vedic literature in terms of Abhida Vritti and the Gauna Vritti. He rejects. Sometimes, however, as a matter of necessity, the Vedic literature is described in terms of the Lakshana Vritti or the Gauna Vritti. But one should not accept such explanations as permanent truths. The purpose of the discussions in the Upanishads and Vedānta-sūtra is to philosophically establish the personal feature of the absolute truth. The impersonalists, however, in order to establish their philosophy, accept these discussions in terms of lakshana vritti or indirect meaning. Thus, instead of being tattvavada or in search of the absolute truth, they become mayavada or illusioned by the material energy. When Shri Vishnu Swami, one of the four acharyas of the Vaishnava cult, presented his thesis on the subject matter of Shuddhadvaitavada, immediately the Mayavadis took advantage of this philosophy and tried to establish their Advaitavada or Kevaladvaitavada. To defeat this Kevaladvaitavada, Shri Ramanujacharya presented his philosophy as Vishishtadvaitavada and Shri Madhvacharya presented his philosophy of Tattvavada, both of which are stumbling blocks to the Mayavadis because they defeat their philosophy in scrupulous detail. Students of Vedic philosophy know very well how strongly Shri Ramanujacharya's Vishishtadvaitavada and Shri Madhvacharya's Tattvavada contest the impersonal Mayavada philosophy. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, accepted the direct meaning of the Vedanta philosophy and thus defeated the Mayavada philosophy immediately. He opined in this connection that anyone who follows the principles of the Sharirika Bhasya is doomed. This is confirmed in the Padma Purana, where Lord Shiva tells Parvati, "My dear wife, hear my explanations of how I have spread ignorance through Mayavada philosophy. Simply by hearing it, even an advanced scholar will fall down. In this philosophy, which is certainly very inauspicious for people in general, I have misrepresented the real meaning of the Vedas and recommended that one give up all activities in order to achieve freedom from karma. In this Mayavada philosophy, I have described the Jivatma and Paramatma to be one and the same. How the Mayavada philosophy was condemned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers is described in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, 2nd chapter, verses 94 through 99, where Swarup Damodar Goswami says that anyone who is eager to understand the Mayavada philosophy must be considered insane. This especially applies to a Vaishnava who reads the Sharirika Bhasya and considers himself to be one with God. The Mayavadi philosophers have presented their arguments in such attractive, flowery language that hearing Mayavada philosophy may sometimes change the mind of even a Mahabhagavata or very advanced devotee. An actual Vaishnava cannot tolerate any philosophy that claims God and the living being to be one and the same.
I'll be on the purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, purpose.
You see, Krishna came as Lord Buddha, and he caused the people to stop animal sacrifice.
You see, Krishna came as Lord Buddha and he gathered people to stop animal sacrifice.
Buddhists, anything atheists who don't believe in the spiritual Krishna.
So the Buddhists are basically atheists who don't believe in the super soul or the personality, spirit soul or the personality of Godhead.
Lord Buddha said, and asked us the question. I didn't get that part, I realized it. Same old he denied to go further, saying he didn't go that far in his realization.
He did not go that far in his realizations.
So, when Lord Krishna asked Lord Shiva to bring all these atheists, Buddhists back to the Vedas,
So Lord Krishna asked Lord Shiva to bring all the atheists, the Buddhists, back
to the Vedas.
to the Vedas.
So, Lord Shiva explained the Vedas, that there is a soul, but the soul and the super soul are not different.
So Lord Shiva explained the Vedas that there is a soul, but the soul and the super soul are non-different.
He explained the Vedas on a personal concept.
He explained the Vedas from an impersonal concept.
This way, many of the Buddhist atheists became back to following the Vedas.
So in this way, many of the Buddhist atheists, they came back to following the Vedas.
And philosophy was incomplete.
But the philosophy was incomplete.
So the Vaishnava acharyas defeated that by commentaries on Vedānta-sūtra.
So the Vaishnava acharyas defeated that by their commentaries on the Vedānta-sūtra.
And Lord Caitanya is expressing the same thing in the Mahārāja sannyasis of Varanasi.
And Lord Chaitanya is expressing the same thing to the Mayavadi sannyasis of Varanasi. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 7.111.
চিৎ বিলাস বৈভবময় ভগবানই শ্রুতি প্রতিপাদ্য ব্রহ্ম শব্দে মুখ্য অর্থে কহে ভগবান চিদ ঐশ্বর্য পরিপূর্ণ অনূর্ধ্ব সমান
Translation. According to direct understanding, the absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has all spiritual opulences. No one can be equal to or greater than him. Purport. This statement by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is confirmed in Srimad-Bhagavatam. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. The absolute truth is ultimately understood as Bhagavan, partially understood as Paramatma, and vaguely understood as the impersonal Brahman. Bhagavan or the absolute or the supreme personality of Godhead is opulent in all excellence. No one can be equal to or greater than him. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita 7.7, where the Lord says, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. There are many other verses which prove that the absolute truth is the ultimate sense is understood to be the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna.
So, the right meaning of Vedānta-sūtra and other scriptures is not absolute truth, it's only the supreme personality Godhead, Bhagavan.
So, the direct meaning of the Vedānta-sūtra and all the other scriptures is that the absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead or Bhagavan.
Since Bhagavan is complete, we should not accept something partial as absolute truth.
Since Bhagavan is complete, we should not accept something partial as the absolute truth.
Lord Caitanya explain these things in Mayavadi analysis very patiently, positively.
So Lord Chaitanya was explaining these things to the Mayavadi sannyasis very patiently and positively.
This way, he got gradually trying to understand the real purpose of Vedas.
So in this way, he could gradually help them understand the real purpose of the Vedas. Next verse. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 7.112.
তাহার বিভূতি দেহ সব চিদাকার চিদ বিভূতি আচ্ছাদি তারে কহে নিরাকার
Translation. Everything about the Supreme Personality of Godhead is spiritual, including his body, opulence, and paraphernalia. Mayavada philosophy, however, covering his spiritual opulence, advocates the theory of impersonalism. Purport. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is a spiritual body which is full of knowledge, eternity, and bliss. In this material world, everybody's body is just the opposite, temporary, full of ignorance, and full of misery. Therefore, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is sometimes described as Nirakara, this is to indicate that he does not have a material body like us. Mayavadi philosophers do not know how it is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is formless. The Supreme Lord does not have a form like the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. It is also said, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Yoganam Yogadadhati Kaman. He is the supreme, eternally conscious person who maintains all other living entities. From all these Vedic references, one can understand that the absolute truth is a person and that no one can equal or excel him. Although there are many foolish Mayavadi philosophers who think that they are even greater than Krishna. Krishna is a smardava. No one is equal to or above him. As stated in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, this verse describes the absolute truth as having no legs or hands. Although this is an impersonal description, it does not mean that the absolute personality of Godhead has no form. He has a spiritual form that is distinct from the forms of matter. In this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clarifies this distinction.
This advises the Vedas, and they state that the Lord is Nirakara and Nirguna.
So, in the different places in the Vedas, it may state that the Lord is Nirakara or Nirguna.
That means that he has no material quality.
But that means that he does not have no material qualities.
And he has a spiritual form.
It means that he has a spiritual form.
He has, always has.
He has and always has had.
So, what we should understand, our form and his form are totally different.
But we should understand that our form and his form are totally different.
Because temporary body which is subject to disease, old age, death.
We have a temporary body which is subject to disease, old age, death.
And he has an eternal spiritual form.
And he has an eternal spiritual form.
His power is diseased and dies, and all dies.
And he has an eternal spiritual form which never gets diseased or never dies or never becomes old.
That's the way to understand statements in the Vedas that say he is formless.
That's the way to understand the statement in the Vedas that says that he is formless. Questions?
Makes sense, the chapter.
We'll finish it. Thus ends the chapter entitled Vedānta-sūtra is free of 4 defects, and therefore the direct meaning is to be taken, which is the absolute truth is Bhagavan. Under the section, how all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas.
So, can we see the devotees?
So can we see the devotees? Anybody has any questions?
Zoom check.
Zoom check. Take 2 questions. What to do if a neophyte devotee hears Mayavadi philosophy by mistake? As it is said that the Mayavadi philosophy even is the reason for fall down of Mahārāja. What will a common man do? Please forgive my mistakes, dear Gurudeva. Your insignificant daughter and servant, Anukampita Radhika Devidasi.
As soon as a person is conscious that in my life philosophy,
As soon as a person is conscious that it is Mayavadi philosophy,
he should look at the TV, look at the sun, and then very focus Chaitanya.
he should look at the deities and look at the sun blink
Ask Lord Chaitanya for forgiveness.
and ask Lord Chaitanya for forgiveness. Next question. Guru Maharaj, as we know, we had tendency to lord over nature, so we are given the opportunity to enjoy this world. So can we say we are also Mayavadi because we want to lord over nature? Your servant, Akshaj Gopal.
We wanted to lord over material nature is Purusha.
Wanting to lord over the material nature is Purusha.
And the resident on this material world are trying to compete with Krishna.
And generally, the residents of the material world are trying to compete with Krishna.
They want to enjoy.
They want to enjoy.
The real Krishna conscious understanding is that by serving the Lord is the highest enjoyment.
But the real Krishna conscious understanding is that by serving the Lord, we get the highest enjoyment.
He is pleased with us on my place.
When He is pleased with us, we are very pleased.
Alright?
Gallery darshan.
Alright, Guru Maharaj is giving everybody gallery darshan and blessings.
Krishna Madhya
Krishna Mate Astu.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.